little brats to die.
Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of magic.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another issue of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows. All the while, we are drinking delicious, delicious beers from all the finest establishments you can find. We love talking pop culture, and we love talking beer. I am one of your two co-hosts, Mash, aka Matt. Alongside me is Lauren, the Hoppy Mommy. And if this is your first time finding us, hey, welcome. Come and join the train. Let's get weird. If you have found us and you don't know how to find us again, please search Hops News on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. We are there. We are on Twitter at Geek Hops, Hops Geek News on Instagram, and go to hopsgeeknews.threadless.com and get yourself some pretty sweet, excellent merch. Today, we have a pretty fun episode. We're going to continue our spooky season marathon with none other than the 1993 classic Hocus Pocus. And first things first, though, let's talk about what we're drinking, right? So I am drinking Shipyard Pumpkinhead Hard Seltzer. It's not the real.
I'm nodding my head.
Okay, so I'm drinking two beers this
in
episode.
Disapproval.
To kick us off, I'm drinking
That's
the
not
Pumpkinhead Seltzer.
technically a beer. There's no hops in seltzers.
No, so I'm drinking two things tonight. First things first, this is the Pumpkinhead Hard Seltzer. I don't have the ability to get the Pumpkinhead yet. My parents had hooked me up with some of the hard seltzer, and I'm drinking it. It's got a lot of pumpkin flavor. I'm not normally a seltzer person, but hey, this is delicious. It's 110 calories. But I do have a wicked good beer on deck. So we'll get to that when we get to our main topic. So Lauren, please enlighten us on what you are drinking. And yeah.
So I am drinking a pumpkin brown ale from Ivanhoe Brewing in Orlando, Florida, called Never Too Late.
You
so
sent me this last year, right?
Yeah, this one I think it tastes a little bit darker this year. I could be wrong because maybe just all the pumpkin beers start to blend together, but this one definitely stands out because it is a brown ale, and a lot of them are not brown ale. A lot of times they're lighter in color and flavor. So it says our brown ale is never too late to arrive on the scene. We threw as much pumpkin pie at this as we could, brewed with Amarillo, Cascade, and pumpkin. It was fresh but subtle spices that bring a fall spirit to this hearty ale. So yeah, this is a really good pumpkin because, some of them that are overly sweet with the nutmeg and whatnot are a bit, I think just too much. And if they are good, you can only have one because it's just so sweet. But this is a good one. I can honestly drink this one all night. So Ivanhoe's cool. They're awesome. We've had them on the podcast before. So that's what I'm drinking. I opened this on Hops News. So I do have I have a regular Pumpkinhead on deck, which might make Matt cry. And I also have another Hourglass pumpkin I could drink instead.
Oh, well,
so we'll see how the rest of this goes.
I might cry. Very, very true. Because we're going to talk about a couple things. First things first, obviously, we're talking about some news, which we'll get to in a minute. But we're also talking about Hocus Pocus, which takes place in my homeland of Salem, Massachusetts. I've been to the house, but that's later on. We got some fan questions. Shout out to our girl, Stacy. She's a really cool person that we know through Twitter. So she's asked us some questions. We're going to answer them, brother. Before we get to that, we might have messed up on a couple things last week. So, Hoppy, what did we mess up on, if anything at all?
So there was something, I don't call this a mess up, but when I told my Jamaica story and I said that there was this amazing hero that brought me a 6-pack of Guinness, I did not name said hero, and said hero deserves to be named because he saved my vacation. He saved my day. He saved my trip. His name is Gian Pierre, not to be confused with the other Gians, because his 3 brothers are also named Gian. Gian Pierre, you are a hero. You are a man's man. You are America's hero. You are Jamaica's hero. You are my hero. So thank you, because I was so sick of drinking Red Stripe. So that is what I messed up on. Thank you, Gian.
Help me. That's kind of awesome. Yeah. You know what? Shout out to you. This episode brought to you by Gian. The
Yes, it's dedicated to Gian.
Real one out there helping us through everything, helping us through it always. Oh man. I just want to shout out real quick though. Also some shout outs to our last episode. We did Scream, and man, Red Fox from Night of the Living Pod, Josh from Four Nerds by Nerds, and Chris from the Geek Peak. It was always such a pleasure getting to hang out with those dudes. So if you haven't listened to that episode, please do. It was a lot of fun. And that said, what have we read or watched this week? I haven't read anything. Oh God, do I know how to read anymore? It's like, this is like,
I never learned to read.
It's a horror film because like everywhere I turn, I have this fat stack of comic books that's like just accruing and accruing and accruing. And I'm like, it's haunting me because I literally set them next to my bed on the nightstand. For
mine are too.
Because if I file them away in my comic box, well, then they're never going to get read. So I just sit them next to the bed and I'm like, today I'm going to read them. Today I didn't read them. And they just,
is it because you went to a school that was too small and made for ants?
What is this? A school for ants? But no, like they're just accruing, and I'm getting so intimidated by how big the stack is, you know. And so it's like,
oh, you're intimidated by size, are you?
Size intimidates me. What can I say? But so I haven't read. I do have a couple days off coming up. I'm going to get around to reading comic books, but I have watched a lot of things. The first thing I've watched, obviously, Only Murders in the Building. I have been talking about that for the last few weeks.
Watch this.
It's on Hulu. Please go watch that show. It is fabulous. The season finale is next week. It's a great show. You're not going to be
that and Squid Game. Everybody keeps talking about.
All right. So yes, the other thing is I have watched Squid Game in its entirety. Another fantastic show. Wow. And it hits pretty good. It hits pretty hard. I'm very curious if we're going to get a sequel. Kind of hope that we do. Well, I don't know actually, because the way they left it open without spoiling, they left it open that there could be a sequel, and we'll go from there. Are you caught up? Have you watched the whole thing? Have you even watched it at all?
I haven't watched. We started Squid Game. I don't know why. And then there was something with the subtitles and we were like, okay, let's watch this later.
No, you can dub it. You don't have to watch with subtitles.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that. So it's on my to-do list, but I have not gotten around. I will watch though, because I mean, so many people have hyped it up. Whenever people who are into different things are hyping up the same show, I know that it's something that's worth watching. So it's really on my list.
Awesome. It is good. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. It's the first couple episodes definitely start off a little slow, right? And it picks up though. Very, very good. And it's, man, the commentary. This is something that the guy who wrote it had been trying to get made for 10 years, and it finally got made. And now it has been watched more times than anything else in Netflix history. So it's breaking records. Very good show. Highly recommend. Aside from that, I watched All Hallows Eve, which is an older movie on Amazon. It's like an anthology kind of film. Like this girl, she's babysitting a couple of friends' kids or whatever, and they find a videotape in the Halloween candy. They watch it, and it's just like it's different beings. Like there's a demon killing somebody. There's this. If you've ever seen the movie Terrifier, that's where the clown comes from, and he's killing people, and it's a pretty grim movie. Without going into detail, it gets in the killing. So I watched that. I watched Scream, of course. I had to watch that. And I've watched Halloween 1978 so far. Getting ready to go see Halloween Kills this weekend. Wicked excited for that movie. And then last but not least, of course, my man.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. The best show in television. I watched season 2 without spoilers. Fuck Nate. That piece of shit. That's all I've done.
Yeah.
Take it away. What have you read or watched?
I finished Ted Lasso, and yeah, I share the same sentiment. I was seeing red at the end of that. Ooh, I was seeing red. What
Nate,
is
you piece of trash? You a real piece of trash.
Just nasty and entitled and like not appreciative of what he was given.
Okay,
it's
so
like,
real quick, we might spoil this.
I feel bad if we do though. It's still so new.
Okay, fine.
Do you need to let it out at the end?
Nate's motivations don't make sense at all. And that's all I'm going to say.
What do you do from a selfish standpoint when you're only thinking about yourself? He's acting like a child. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I also watched It Part 2 of the new one, which is like almost a 3-hour movie.
That movie's wicked
very
long. Yeah.
interesting. And like the one guy at the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to bathtub. I remember this from when I was little. And what's interesting though is I don't think this really spoils anything. Like the same guy at the very beginning of the movie. Well, the older one, yeah. But I remember watching the older one.
The new one's also been out forever.
It's been out for a few years, but not too long. But the older one, I remember seeing the guy in the bathtub and it said "it" and blood on the wall. And I always thought that like it somehow like came through the pipes and like killed him. And then watching this, I'm like, oh, he killed himself. And my husband's like, yeah, just like in the original. I was like, I haven't watched the original since I was little because I was traumatized. So I always thought that it killed him, but I was super traumatized watching the It movies because I was way too young when I watched them. And yeah, okay. I did finish season 10 of The Walking Dead and I actually liked it. So I thought I had finished it, but I guess they had to stop production because of COVID. So then I don't know if they had already filmed them or what, but they finally released a few and they were on Netflix and they are bringing back like a lot of people stopped after Carl or after Glenn or, all these, people left or Maggie and some of these people didn't die. So if you gave on the show or if you haven't watched the show, a lot of characters left, but didn't necessarily die. So you don't know. I think it was because they knew actors were getting other shows and they didn't want to ruin stuff. So Maggie's back. So there was an episode about Maggie. There was a whole episode about Negan's origin, which was almost to a T to the comic book origin. They did a whole episode with Daryl and Carol, which everybody knows they're going to survive because they have a spinoff coming in like 2023. But I actually did enjoy these few episodes because they really focused on the characters that we had already fallen in love with. There was an episode with Gabriel and Aaron. They're not original, but they're still both pretty early on. And you had already, I love Aaron. The second Aaron showed up, I loved him. But I'd also known him from the comics and knew he was a good guy. And the only other thing I watched was Midnight Mass. I watched the first episode. So there's 7 episodes total on Netflix.
Oh, shit. I watched that whole series too. I forgot about that.
So I started that today. I watched the first episode on the treadmill earlier.
Very much a slow burn.
And so, but it's even the first one though, it's still good, but
very good.
Haunting on Hill House was a slow burn.
It was.
And it's the same people. So if you liked Haunting on Hill House and Bly Manor, I'm guessing you'll like this. It's even the guy from E.T. is in all 3 of these. The kid.
I can't wait to hear what you say by the end of Bev. That's all I got to say. Excuse me.
Ooh, are you drunk?
No.
Okay. Well, I would guess I'll have that done next week. And I think that's why I haven't watched Squid Game or the other one. Well, I guess the other one could be Halloween-y because I like to watch spooky stuff in October.
I do too. I just want to binge the heck out of it the entire month because it's like, I know I can watch horror movies any time of year, but I just feel like that it just doesn't hit quite like that first fall weather. There's Halloween stuff out everywhere. Well, I do. And it's glorious. Okay. And it just hits so differently. And man, I'm in the mood. And so that's probably what I'm going to do tomorrow is just binge horror movies all day. Cause I'm not going
as long as it's not Jeepers Creepers or Wrong Turn. And I feel like I should apologize to everybody that shit in the daytime because
Jeepers Creepers is terrifying.
Jeepers Creepers traumatized me. I was like 17 or 18 when I saw it. And like, oh my God, my friend Brandy was like, don't open your eyes yet. And like, when you guys were talking about it, I was like, I'm listening back and I'm like, I sound like an asshole, but I just hate that
screw that. So Josh made fun of me because I was like, this movie freaked me out as a kid. I was young and I lived in like a wooded area.
I wasn't young and it freaked me out.
No, that movie he walks.
It was filmed here.
He walks out of the house with.
I don't talk about it. I'm not talking about it.
And he's just like, he doesn't say anything. He just smiles and
I'm covering my ears and I have headphones in.
Like that movie is scary. So I'm going to watch that movie tomorrow, but it's probably going to be in the daylight.
The only other one that was just as bad as Wrong Turn. And I know Lex
I haven't watched that one in a while.
I remember watching that when I was pregnant with Kaylee and I had my head like buried in Lexi's chest the whole time because I was terrified.
Nah, man.
Terrible.
No. All
right, let's move on to news. I don't want to talk
about this. All right, I don't really have news, so let's talk some news. Breaking news.
You can take some of my news because I'm sure you have some of my news too.
Maybe. Well, Wayne Family, the Wayne Family show we talked about last week, it's not actually a go after all. Apparently it was not authorized. So yeah, we're not getting that show that we announced last week. And that's kind of that's all I have. There's a little bit more news. So season 3 of The Mandalorian has started to film. That's something that's exciting. Carl Weathers announced that yesterday. And Boba Fett is going to premiere once again on December 29th. So it's kind of weird because we were getting Mandalorian once a year, and then now we're getting Boba Fett this year instead of Mandalorian. So that's pretty excited. And then the last piece of news that I want to talk about real quick, because I'm mad as hell. I have some qualms.
I think everyone over the age of 15 is mad as hell.
I'm mad. So first things first, the movie that we watch on Thanksgiving night to kick us off for the holiday spirit is Home Alone. Well, Disney Plus decided they were going to drop a trailer for Home Sweet Home Alone that premieres November 12th on Disney Plus. And dear sweet baby Jesus, 6-pound baby Jesus in his golden
8 pounds,
manger.
6 ounce.
8 pounds, 6 ounce baby Jesus in his golden manger. This movie looks absolutely abysmal. Like, I want to go and I would
It look really bad.
I want to fight literally every single person who had a hand in making this movie. Like, not the actors, right? Because the actors, you just trying to get it paid. You just trying to get paid.
Well, I love the one girl from Bridesmaids in The Office is in it. I really like her.
Buzz is actually in this. He's Buzz
and it says McAllister.
Yeah. But like, no,
Kind of sounded like Buzz there.
Buzz is in this movie, but it's a straight rehash, I think, of Home Alone. But like, I don't know what the hell is going on in this movie, man. I don't know who thought it was like somebody was probably trying to bank on a bunch of us millennial, nostalgia. But no, you're gonna catch these goddamn hands. If I ever,
but we're all gonna watch it.
Oh, damn. God, it's like Game of Thrones, dude. I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna enjoy it, but I will watch it. But it's
like for the opposite reason. Like the first ones were so good, you don't want to mess with it. Whereas you hated the ending of Game of Thrones.
Home Alone 1 and 2, perfect. Home Alone 3, all right. I'll let you pass.
That doesn't count.
I'll let you slide.
I think there's a 4 as well.
Maybe, but I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing this. This is how you know God doesn't exist, kids. This is how you know.
Yikes.
That's all the news I got. That is all the news I have.
So let's look into some more uplifting news. So that 70s show is becoming I'm excited about this. So that 70s show is becoming that 90s show. So it's going to be 1995 and Kitty and Red are coming back. Erica and Donna's daughter, who they named Leia, is visiting her grandparents in Wisconsin for the summer. And the quote from the article is, "Sex, drugs, and rock and roll never dies. It just changes clothes." So I remember my dad telling me he watched this because they were like in high school when he was in high school. And I wasn't in high school in 95, but I was in high school in like 98. So I'm excited to see how they actually portray the 90s. Although a lot of times the 90s gets portrayed like it's still the 80s, which I find very odd. I feel like that's been a new thing. It's like
they're just going to play Nirvana on repeat and bank on our nostalgia for that. That's how can you be excited? That doesn't. First of all,
because I really liked this 70s show.
No, but this is like 20 years after, right? Isn't Red in? Because it's going to have Red in them. Kitty and Red, they're going to be like 105 years old.
So the show ended right at the stroke of midnight to 1980. So this will be 15 years later. And how long has the show been off the air? Probably 10 years.
Longer than that, right? Wasn't this like an early 2000s show?
Okay, so then it's been off the air for the same amount of time that would take between that 70s show and that 90s show. And we saw Kitty in WandaVision. She wasn't that old.
Okay, it actually ended in 2006, May 18th, 2006.
So that the math, it's exactly 15 years later. So their ages will correspond properly from the 70s to 1995.
I don't know, man.
Math, it'll fuck you right up.
I never was good in math, so.
No, me neither. Okay, Scream 5 trailer was released like a few hours after we dropped our episode. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. You season 3, by the time this drops, is out on Netflix, and since it's Netflix, you'll have the whole season. That should be fun. Did you watch You?
No, Carrie did. Oof. I haven't.
Well, let Carrie know. Season 3 is going to be out this Saturday.
Thank God.
To the people listening is last Saturday.
Zoinks.
It's good. It's creepy. It's terrifying. And it's got the girl from Blind Manor and Haunting Hill, the young girl, That's the twin in the first one. And then she's like the main character in the second one.
Interesting.
So she's in season 3 of You. Jensen Ackles is joining Alec Baldwin in a Western called Rust. And when he announced the news on his social media, he put, quote, "Finally, my bow legs are in their element," end quote. Because that is the one thing about Jensen Ackles. For anybody who does watch Supernatural or anything he's in, he has bow legs, and it's very obvious. Huh. Will Poulter is cast as Adam Warlock for Game of Thrones 3. I've only ever seen him in We're the Millers, so I don't know how that's going to play out.
He is. I think he's a legit good actor. I am excited for this. I know people. I
trust it,
but I trust James Gunn with my life. Like if I had to toss my firstborn or my infant child out of a burning building 7 stories up, and one person on this earth I had to choose to catch that baby and survive, it would be James Gunn.
Well, all right then. But because I expected to see Adam earlier, just because he's the one that saves the day against Thanos in the comics. So that'll be fun. John Kent, the new Superman, who is the son of Kal-El, is coming out as bi, and that is in the Superman run, Son of Kal-El.
Conservatives who have never read a single comic book in their life are mad.
Yeah,
we're not talking politics. We don't talk about we're not talking about politics here, but people
I don't think that being pro for the LGBTQ community is politics.
It's not, but neither was a pandemic. Here we are. So people are mad.
Catherine Hahn.
This.
It was Agatha all along. She's getting her own spinoff. I'm guessing it'll be a prequel. I don't know. And Tales of the Walking Dead is coming out in 2022. It will be 6 episodes, about an hour long each. This looks like it could be anything. It could be past, go into the past episodes. It's going to have to do with Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead. They've talked about bringing back characters that are since died and doing something like, oh, this is what happened before you met them or something. I'm not exactly sure what the hell's going to happen with that, but we shall see. Well, if you're still watching. Mm-hmm. All right. That's all I got.
Well, we've been enlightened. And if there's anything else, DC Fandom is actually happening this weekend. We're recording on a Wednesday. DC Fandom kicks off this weekend. So expect a lot of DC news next week. I am expecting some trailers from The Flash, Fun fact actually about Black Adam is he was cast as Black Adam in 2007. Dwayne Johnson was. So Black Adam, The Rock has been cast as Black Adam longer than the Marvel universe has existed. So, and we're finally getting a Black Adam movie, and I kind of hope they don't just rock it up. We'll see what happens. We're getting trailers. Batman trailer. Yeah, we're getting the Batman trailer. Hopefully, allegedly, it's supposed to be 2.5 minutes long. We're going to get a Flash trailer. We are going to get a Black Adam trailer, and who knows what other DC news we're going to get. So if you're a DC fan like I am, hopefully it's a great time to be alive. Hopefully it's going to be a great weekend, and we're going to discuss it more next week, maybe. So with that said, let's go on to our main topic. We are discussing the 1993 hit Hocus Pocus, starring Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy. Is that how you pronounce her name?
I'm not sure how to say her name.
All right. Well, Kathy. And Mary. Sarah Jessica Parker. Enjoy.
Only works tonight on All Hallows Eve when the sun comes up. We're toast. Pudding! Fortunately, the potion I brewed the night we were hanged would keep us alive and young forever. Unfortunately, the recipe for that potion is in my spellbook, and the little wretches have stolen it. Therefore, it stands to reason, does it not, sisters dear, that we must find the book, brew the potion, and suck the lives out of the children of Salem before sunrise. Otherwise, it's curtains. We evaporate. We cease to exist. Dost thou comprehend?
Well, you explained it beautifully, Winnie. The way you said it started out with the adventure part, and then you sort of slowly...
Explain what?
Come! We fly! Because of...
Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, we are talking Hocus Pocus, and this movie is a movie that actually flopped at the box office when it first came out. But much like Nightmare Before Christmas, it has picked up a cult following. And it's a movie that everybody watches year in and year out around this time. It's literally everywhere, whether it's Disney, whether it's the Freeform. It used to be ABC Family, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's ABC Family.
31 Days of Halloween. It plays all the time on TV. It's everywhere. I love it. I liked it a lot as a kid. And yeah, so when it first came out, like I said, it only did $44.9 million in the box office, and it was considered to be a flop. It has a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes. I feel that's disrespectful.
That's insane. They need to update that shit.
They do. It came out July 16th, 1993, starred Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, someone please let me know. And my sexual awakening actually was to this movie, Sarah Jessica Parker. I am 90% sure, because Sarah Jessica Parker has never looked better, and she will never look better than she did in this movie. And that was her peak.
She dated Robert Downey Jr. around that time.
Isn't she married to Matthew Broderick?
Yeah, hell yeah. They've been married for years. They have kids together.
True. Yeah, she actually, Simba. Fun fact, she had her kid in Wheeling, West Virginia. I only know this because I have family there, and one of her kids is born there. So yeah,
interesting.
We're going to talk about that real quick. I have cracked open another beer. It's actually from a very well-known brewery. If you are big into the brewing game, if you love craft beer, then you know that Treehouse out of Charlton, Massachusetts is on the docket right now. And the wicked good brewery. I talk about them all the time, about the vibe, especially this time of year. They're kind of in the middle of the woods. It's like going to a cabin when you go skiing.
But they just opened up a really fancy location
in
too.
Sandwich, Mass. Yes,
I was just going to say, place. I know it was
Sandwich, Mass is a real place. It's on the Cape, and they opened up a new place. I'm interested to see what it looks like in person, because from the pictures, it looks like a mental institution because everything is so white.
It looks very Cape Cod-y, I thought. It looked very clean and like too fancy to be a brewery.
Yeah.
This beer tastes different this year.
Everybody, if you're a native New Englander or even Massachusetts, going to the Cape, like that's what people do. Like you vacation at the Cape. And I mean, people from New England in general, they only go two places, New England and Florida. So going to the Cape was always a big deal. The traffic is wicked bad in the summer, but it's a beautiful place. Anyways, this is called Juicy Project. It's got 3 J's. Ooh, it's like thick with 3 C's, right?
Dun, dun, dun.
With each passing day, as hands-on brewers, we learn and we progress with our knowledge of raw materials and process and how it influences the outcome of a finished beer. To that end, Juicy Project Citra plus Strata represents another leap in individuality, hop character, juiciness, and drinkability, saturated to the absolute max with hops. We have spent years working to understand and attain. Juicy Project Citra plus Strata is a joyful explosion of flavor. Share it and enjoy it. All the best. It's an American double IPA, 8.7% by volume, brewed in Charlton, Massachusetts, Treehouse Brewing Company. Man, I love these guys. I love this brewery. I love this beer. I'm drinking it because Massachusetts invented America, and this movie takes place there. So what have you opened up over there? Because you said it tastes different. I heard this.
Yeah. So I posted the beer you're drinking actually on our IG on a Saturday. So if you want to see the can, you can go to our Instagram. It was posted on, I don't know, October 10th, maybe 9th. I don't know. So yeah, I just opened a Shipyard Pumpkinhead, and I remember opening it last year, and I only bought it because we had Shipyard coming on, because Shipyard got me into craft beer, but then I kind of felt like, oh, this is too sweet. I don't really like it anymore. And then last year, because we were having brews from Shipyard on, I bought some and I was like, oh, this is actually a really good pumpkin beer. Maybe I just don't remember correct. And then I took a sip of this, and it's sweeter than I remember. And is it the same recipe every year, or do they change it?
See, now I think it changes. And I think actually the fact that this is, to me, that beer is the perfect beer for this episode, because it is one of those beers that I feel like has become a cult classic amongst, the craft beer community. Right. So when I first had this beer 5 years ago, when I was getting into more beer, my friend Charlie, who we've had on, he's actually introduced me to this beer, and it tasted vastly different than it does now. I feel as though they become more mainstream, and so some of the flavor got lost. Last year, it didn't taste as sweet, but you're saying
last year was good.
Last year was good. I think last year was one of the best it has tasted.
I might open another beer. I'm not loving it.
You're not?
No, I'm not loving it.
Don't pour this out on me.
Here's the thing. I've come to the realization, and I know I'm going to get shit for this. I feel like if I don't really love a beer, because I have so many phenomenal beers, I'm okay with not finishing a beer and opening something that is phenomenal because I'm just going to enjoy it that much more. It's like I would rather drink water than a Budweiser. Not that this is Budweiser quality by any means. Shipyard is quality beer. I'm not on board. I was really looking forward to opening this, and it's not doing it for me the way it did
Send me all
last year.
your pumpkin head. I'll do it. I'll drink it. I'll let you know how it tastes.
I bought this for you and I couldn't. I bought you two and I couldn't put both of them in your box. So you're only getting one. But now I'm like, damn. But you're getting our other pumpkin beer.
No, I know.
Turn your frown upside down.
No, that's kind of disappointing.
Shipyard. That wouldn't be right. Well, let me know when you get it and you drink it. I would love to know your opinion because you are a bigger fan of this beer and you're a bigger fan of pumpkin beer in general.
That's true. I am a pumpkin slut. My Halloween costume, I think I'm going to go as the pumpkin or the Shipyard mascot, to be honest with you.
The slutty pumpkin.
The slutty pumpkin. Old Ted Mosby. He's the hanging Chad. I'm just trying to find my hanging Chad, man.
It was Joey from Dawes Creek.
That's true.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. The Shipyard mascot's awesome. And I feel like he can be carried through to Christmas because let's face it, pumpkins are about Christmas too. Just look at the Christmas song and some pumpkin pie. So for me, pumpkins go from October to December. No,
that's absolutely true. And I would drink pumpkin beer year round, but it once it becomes August to December for me, because that's usually when Pumpkinhead comes out. So
September.
Know. We'll see. This beer is delicious. The Treehouse one I'm drinking, but people might not have come here for the beer talk. Let's talk some Hocus Pocus. All right. So first things first, Entertainment Weekly was particularly put off by the movie. They called it a piece of corny slapstick trash and saying that it's acceptable, scary, silly kid fodder that adults will find only mildly insulting unless they're Bette Midler fans, in which case it's depressing as hell.
Ice cold.
Wow. Who hurt this person who wrote this? That's what I need to know. Who hurt you?
I think Bette Midler hurt them.
Apparently Bette Midler probably denied this person an autograph at some point or an interview because geez, what did she do to you? Joke's on this person because Hocus Pocus 2 has started to film already.
Oh yeah, I actually saw a video of the houses and them setting up houses. It almost looked like in the woods. I don't know if it's a flashback or what. Yeah,
I saw that too, and I'm actually disappointed because had I been, I'm originally from Billerica, Massachusetts. That's like 20-30 minutes from Salem. They actually put on a casting call for extras for this film.
Oh yes.
So I'm mad as hell that I'm not an extra in this film right now. So
I actually flew up. I'll be an extra in the film.
No big deal. I could have been an extra at Hubie Halloween as well, but whatever.
I'm in that one too.
Well, anyways, though, in October of 2020, it was actually the number 2 ranked film. And next year, like we just mentioned, Hocus Pocus 2 is going to be on Disney Plus. All 3 original witches are going to be there. And it is based on a book that is already out where they focus on Max and Allison's daughter, who was 17. You know what? You love a good love story. You just love a good feel-good love story. Max and Allison, that's like the first girl he ever talked to and kissed. And guess what? He didn't let her go, man. He didn't let her go. True love found a way that night. Because who doesn't fall in love while they're,
fighting for their lives?
You see this. How many times do you see in a movie where people fall in love out of whatever's going on?
Too, yeah.
And then they break up later on.
Y'all are going to be in therapy for years.
Yeah.
But no, let's give you the happily ever after ending. Okay, sure. Good luck with that.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I guess this is one of those success stories. Like I want to know like how many of these couples that are in these like very high stress environments that get together break up right afterwards because they realize they hate each other. That's not the case for Max and Allison. They stay together.
Because they're fictional characters.
True. So David Kirchner used to tell this story to his kids as a bedtime story before he turned this into a movie. And when pitching the movie, the room they pitched it in had broomsticks and a vacuum hanging from the ceiling and 15 pounds of candy corn. Why? Was it over a trash can, I hope?
Oh, you're one of those. So they did the candy corn so that it would smell like your childhood. So when these execs came in,
That's
seeing
not
the
what my
broomsticks,
childhood smells like.
and I should say though, the motor was taken out of the vacuum, so the ceiling didn't collapse. But they had all the candy corn, so that it would smell like Halloween. I think candy corn's delicious until the third piece, and then I'm ugh. But the first two pieces are amazing.
So we actually a couple weeks ago, Carrie she saw on Pinterest, that somebody put, or TikTok, they put candy corn on pizza. So she comes home with a couple frozen pizzas. We put a bag of candy corn on one pizza. It was awful. That shit was fucking bad, dude. No. It was awful. And it was so watery once everything melted. And it was, even the kids were like, dude, this is not good. And that's when a 3 and a 5-year-old are like, this is not good. That's how you know it's not good.
And it involves candy. So I used to use candy corn as decor. I would put it in a clear thing, fill it up kind of like you do with ornaments at Christmas as a Halloween decoration. So I would save candy corn from the year before. So one year I had a thing with a candle in it surrounded by candy corn. And my now ex-sister-in-law takes a piece and she's like, candy corn. I'm like, that's 2 years old. There's fresh candy corn right there. And she took a piece of the fresh candy corn and she goes, oh, that's way better. And that was the year that I stopped using candy corn to decorate.
Well,
so, yeah. I had to stop buying candy corn though, because my husband would eat it by the handful and then he would not feel good. If I would have it in a candy corn dish and he would just, and we had the little girl next door would run into our house, steal candy corn and run out of our house.
What the hell?
She was 3. I don't know. I don't know.
She's like a little Chucky doll running through your house. Give me your candy corn. Slap, stab, stab.
She was adorable too. And it was at our old house. We had the living room, but was right by the front door. And we would hear the door open because my brother lived next door. So we would often have the door unlocked because we were constantly going back and forth to each other's houses. And so we would hear the door open and then we would peek out and we would just see her running out with and she had clearly gotten into the candy corn. So candy corn's no longer purchased around here for multiple reasons.
Well, that's because if you're not purchasing Reese's pumpkins or bats or ghosts, you're just wrong.
Those are the best.
Those are without a the seasonal Reese's are without a doubt the absolute best. They have the perfect PB to chocolate ratio.
I ate 2 of those today.
I could eat a whole bag in a sitting, and I'm going to love every second of it while doing it. And then afterwards, I'm going to be like, oh my God, I hate myself.
Yeah, I had the first one was great. The second one was what did I just do that for? All right, let's move along.
Well, when did you actually first see this movie? Did you see it when it first came out? Back in 93, brother?
I don't know that I saw it in theaters. I honestly don't remember. Because it was similar to Nightmare. So it came out right before I turned 10. 100% saw it as a kid. 100% loved it as a kid, but I don't remember if I saw it in the theaters or not. But no, I always remember loving it. And in fact, I don't love it as much as Nightmare. Obviously, Nightmare holds a special place in my heart, but I've always absolutely loved this movie. And I remember being surprised the first time I went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at Magic Kingdom that there was no mention of Hocus Pocus or Nightmare. And I think the first time we went, Kaylee was 6 to the Halloween party. So that was 2009. And as of, I think 2015 now, they host the show. It's I don't know.
Do they now? Disney's... They actually incorporate Hocus Pocus?
Oh yeah. This 3 sisters host the villain show, and you have Oogie Boogie come out and Captain Hook and all these other villains, and they're part of the parade and stuff. But it's just so insane that not that long ago, these 2 amazing movies that came out the exact same year that are Disney just pretended they didn't exist for so long. It's just, I don't know. It's really weird. And the amount of merch now at Spirit Halloween is crazy about both those movies. I don't know what the hell Disney was doing.
It is very interesting. Was the marketing bad or is it because us as kids saw these movies and now we're showing our kids who love, we're forcing this upon our kids?
Maybe, but I feel like my mom enjoyed both of these movies too when she watched them with us. But I did watch an interview with Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's not a fan of Halloween. But Midler and Mary are, and Kathy are. But she said she's not a fan of Halloween. She only does it because she has the kids. However, Bette Midler made a comment. One of the reasons this is her favorite movie she ever filmed. And one of the reasons for that is she said Halloween used to kind of just be about the kids. And this movie was the beginning of Halloween becoming about adults and kids in, a different and, same kind of way. So I thought that was interesting that I don't remember my parents getting excited to dress. I don't even think my parents dressed up. Oh, I do remember my mom dressing as a witch. But now there's family costumes and the adults go to their own parties as well as, ones with the kids. And there's so many family events the whole month. And this movie, when Hocus Pocus a Nightmare came out, it was like that moment where it was exploding.
Oh,
did I answer your question? I feel like I went on a tangent.
No, you definitely. My question was like, when did you first watch it? But no, you actually got it. I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't remember when I first watched this movie. I watched it as a kid. I can't pinpoint the exact moment that I was like, I watched this. All I know though is that Sarah Jessica Parker was fine as hell, and I was like, oh my god, I'm an adolescent child, and so I was like.
Well, and Thora Birch was actually, I think she's my age, but she played an 8-year-old in this, but she was like 10 or whatever. So like, I remember.
She's such an asshole in this movie though.
But I feel like I related most to her because I don't have a big brother, but I had an annoying little brother. But she, being my age, and I had seen her in other things. I guess now and then when she was older, but I had seen her in a bunch of other things. She was actually named after Thor.
Really?
Yeah, Thor. I read that years and years ago.
I didn't know that either. So no, but in this movie, she's a bit of an asshole. And before, I know we've been talking loosely. I just we actually had a couple questions that did come in. We're all over the place. I feel like, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be all over the place. So if you're still with us,
we got some awesome facts coming up.
Thank you. We are going to get to some fun facts. We actually had, so like I mentioned earlier, shout out to Stacy. She's somebody that we've gotten to know on Twitter, and she's really cool, really great person. And her wedding's coming up soon. So we gotta send you a little wedding package because you are awesome. You actually asked us a couple of questions. First was, have we ever been to Salem? Yeah. I grew up right outside of Salem. I have been there, and Salem, I'm going to take you on a little school real quick about Salem. So did you know the witch trials did not actually happen in Salem?
I did not know that.
They did not.
I believe they happened a lot of places, but I thought they were primarily Salem.
Everybody thinks Salem witch trials. No, that's not the case. The witch trials actually took place in Danvers, Massachusetts, which, fun fact about Danvers, there was this old mental institution that was abandoned that's supposedly haunted. We went there when we were like teenagers once. That shit was scary as hell, man. Like never again.
So was it haunted?
Yeah, the legend goes.
Yeah,
the legend goes that you hear like kids laughing and stuff like that. And like we went inside with a flashlight, and there's like writings all over the walls, and it's all decrepit. Like the vibe is that it's scary, and it was scary. Now they tore it down, and I believe it's actually apartment buildings now. So good luck to those residents.
Those are now haunted.
Yeah. So there was Salem Village and Salem Town, and all these witch trials and things went down in Salem Village, with the exception of the hangings, which was actually just over the modern day town line of Salem. So the hangings, yes, in a roundabout way did take place in Salem. They didn't actually confirm where the hanging sites were until 2015. And the victims are actually buried under what is now a Walgreens parking lot.
Wow.
So it's just a Walgreens now, and the victims are buried under there. So the Walgreens is probably haunted too. Who knows? And they actually pretended that nothing ever happened in Salem Village. And that's when they changed the name to what we now know as Danvers, Massachusetts. And so that's a little bit of a fun fact about Salem. When I was growing up, Salem was always like a really cool place. They really hate the witch lore there, which, side note, shout out to Bit Bar in Salem. It is a wicked cool arcade bar that I've done trivia at. It's just like an arcade place. You go in Salem, Mass. I actually saw the last Halloween movie in a movie theater in Salem. It was dope. Anyways, yeah, Salem, they lean into the witch stuff because so many people.
I was going to say they capitalize on it.
Well, now because there's so much money to be made, right? Like if you go from September through October 31st, like it is a nightmare as far as just so many people crowding, and you'd be stupid not to lean into it because everybody thinks that the Salem witch trials happened there when they didn't. So It is a really great town. If you're a tourist, Yes, I 1000% recommend going to Salem for the Halloween stuff. They do a lot of festivals. There's a lot of like horror movies they show. And then there's actually a couple podcasts that are horror movie podcasts that do live shows afterwards. So I think Factory of Horror is one. Yeah, no shit. Faculty of Horror. It's one of those. I can't remember the name now, but they're two hosted by two women, and they always do they watch a horror movie and then they always do like a post show where they do a podcast with the live crowd. So I've been to that a couple times, and yeah, the whole vibe, they really lean into it because like I said, you'd be dumb not to. And I've been to the house that they actually filmed Hocus Pocus at. It was for sale at one point. But it is still there.
The museum house?
Yeah. The actual house, like the house that he lives in. Max and
oh, okay.
Yeah. I've been to that house. But if you go to Salem, yeah, there's a ton of museums, all that kind of stuff. You can go on like this little walk and it's crazy. It's a beautiful town. Beautiful town. Mm-hmm. Notch Brewing Company is actually in Salem. So if you get a chance,
I've had their beer.
Yeah, go to Notch.
From
you also
Micah?
might have known Brienne. She Rat Magnet.
Oh, the
on
Rat
Instagram.
Magnet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where she was just recently working, but she has left to pursue making the brewing industry a better place for women. So
what she's doing.
Yeah, I had breakfast. Carrie and I one time had breakfast down somewhere in Salem, and I can't remember now where it was, but it was some of the best breakfasts I've ever had. So another thing is, what word would we have shaved into our heads, ice style? Oh man, I think mine would be pumpkin because I'm such a slut for pumpkin.
You're basic. I think
really
mine
simple.
would be hops or hoppy.
Ooh, get a little hoppy shaved in the head there. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Dude, don't call me Lauren anymore. It's Hoppy.
Dude, I don't answer that name anymore.
There it is. It's no longer Ernie. It's Hoppy.
So yeah, I think pumpkin and hop or hoppy would be that. And then last but not least, she asked, if we were Binks, what would we spend 300 years doing? Because you're a cat. Like, what do you do for 300 years as a cat? I have no idea.
I feel like I would fuck with people to entertain myself.
I'd become the Sabrina the Teenage Witch cat for about 10 years that show was on. And then like after that, like, what do you do?
So the cat from this, so they had multiple cats that they used because each cat did a different trick. Like one would cuddle, one would jump, one would just sit there. And then they had an animatronic cat. So when they were done with the animatronic cat, guess where it went?
Where?
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Somebody actually asked us that on Twitter today. They were like, is the cat in this movie the same one in Sabrina? And I was like, well, obviously the one that's an animatronic in Sabrina. But holy crap. So they actually took the cat from this movie and used it in Sabrina?
I did find that. Yeah. I can find the, if anybody wants to verify that, I can find where I found that and give you the link. But yes, I did read that it was the same cat. And honestly, when they have the cat, you can tell when Binks is animatronic because it just looks ridiculous. And the cat in the Clarissa Explains It All, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, always did look ridiculous. Melissa Joan Hart, that's her real name.
Yes.
So yeah. So whoever asked that, you can tell them we're fairly certain yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, I think it would be fun to, not mess with people in a bad way, but like move things and make people maybe think things are haunted, because there's a theory that Binks couldn't talk until the candle was lit. Otherwise, he would have been able to tell his dad what was going on.
Huh. Well, that's dope. That's fucking dope. I had no idea. And I thought this person was being tongue in cheek, but here we are. Awesome.
We are.
Well, what other fun facts do you have for us? What else do you got?
So this movie took place in 1993, which puts Halloween on a Sunday, which means there's no school. So they were so wrong. It also wasn't a full moon, but we're just going to, whatever.
I think it was probably also filmed in summer, probably.
They filmed it from October 12th, 1992 to the end of February, 93.
Look at that.
So that must have been really fun to start filming because they started filming at Halloween. But, I always think that's interesting though, when you film like holiday movies, because you're filming when it's not the holiday. But I'm not an actor. I don't know how that works. So yeah, I mentioned Bette Midler. Absolutely loved this movie. Kathy Mary, she claims she watches it every year with her family on August 15th. I don't know why August 15th, but apparently that's what she did. So when they were filming, this was before a lot of CGI. So they had the actual wires. Well, I think even with CGI, you have the wires and they're flying. So Sarah Jessica Parker said she was so comfortable in the wires when they were filming the flying stuff that instead of taking her down between, sets or when the crew would go to lunch, she would stay up there and she would leave a New York Times and part of her dress, and she would pull it out and sit in the harness and read the New York Times. To choreograph their flying styles, the choreographer actually drove with each of the witches to get an idea of their driving style and then help them choreograph how they fly. So Sarah Jessica Parker went on the show, Who Do You Think You Are? And she found out she's actually very distantly related to Esther Elwell, who was an accused witch at the famed Salem witch trials.
Ooh.
Luckily, her case never made it to trial. So because witchcraft was abolished or whatever. I don't know. Sarah Jessica Parker also, she ate a real spider. I don't know if you remember that scene when they're hiding behind the bushes and she pulls out a spider. Yeah, that's a real spider. The dude who wrote Come Little Children also wrote My Heart Will Go On.
What? By Celine Dion, the great Celine Dion?
Yeah. Well, but Leonardo DiCaprio was actually offered the role for Max, but he turned it down to do Eating Gilbert Grape. Yeah,
he was phenomenal in that movie. There's nothing he could have done with this role that would have ascended him in the way that Gilbert Grape did, though.
Yeah, I agree. But the fact Gilbert Grape was an amazing movie, and I think he won an award for that and everything.
Yeah, I think.
But it's not played every year by every family everywhere. So. But he still had a successful career, so we'll have to give him that. The actor who played Thackeray, not Zachary, it's Thackeray.
It's Thackeray Binks.
Yes. A lot of people say Zachary, though. It's not Zachary. He is not the voice of the cat. That's actually Jason Marsden. And I
thought this was James Marsden at first, and I popped so hard. I was like, James Marsden strikes again. But then when I was reading it, Jason Marsden.
So I guess Thackeray was American, but moved to Australia and picked up an Australian accent or something. And they felt like he didn't sound old schooly enough, 1600s. So I believe when Thackeray is talking, they even had Jason Marsden dub his voice. I'm not certain of that because when I read it, it seemed not 100% accurate, but yeah. The Christmas Vacation movie, that house can be seen in the background. And it's also the same house from American Beauty, which Thora Birch was also in. This one, I don't know if this is true or not, but a lot of people claim the fountain in this movie is the same one from the Friends opener. I feel like it could just look alike. I don't know. All right. The dude who plays the devil and his wife, they're actually siblings. They're very famous siblings, Gary and Penny Marshall. Billy, did you know this one? Those were real moths that flew out of his mouth after he cut it open.
What?
Yeah, a lot of this came out. I don't know if you watched a couple years ago. They did a whole special for the 25th anniversary. So some of these facts I actually got from watching that. God, was that 2 years ago? I remember watching it. We made little brownie book cookies, which came out adorable.
There's real. They put real moths in this man's.
So they had a latex pocket attached to dentures and put it in his mouth, and then they had to glue the strings closed, and then they had to film it instantly so he could get the real moths out of his mouth. And the thing blocked it so he didn't swallow them. Yeah, it's interesting.
No, miss me with that. That's some Jared Leto type method acting.
So Sarah's dress was inspired by Sleeping Beauty. Winnie's iconic curses like Maggoty Malfeasance and Trollymog, those actually weren't scripted, but they were authentic insults. They came from a book of old curses that Bette Midler actually referenced on set. So she had somebody there to give her old school curse words. They gave everybody in this, they had a script, and then they gave all of them leverage to ad lib and do what they wanted. And that's probably why, because there's a lot of inconsistencies. Okay, they don't know what a road is, but they know what a driver's license is. And I think that's probably where that showed up. I think it was, and they let it in because it was funny. You probably don't because you're little. Okay. Or you're younger.
I'm 6'4", ma'am.
I'm going to say, yes,
I am not little.
You're bigger than I am. The original trailer, I remember seeing the trailer and seeing a scene of Mary in a grocery store squirting something into her mouth. And then it was never in the movie, but it is in the trailer. And so I found that out. So there were
actually
5
seen the trailer
scenes
for this movie.
I remember being so confused when the movie ended and thinking, where was that? So I must have seen it in 93, if I remember that, because I distinctly remember seeing that scene in a trailer on the TV. Huh. But there were 5 scenes that were cut. Originally, the movie was going to be darker, and they cut those 5 scenes to make it more kid friendly. One of the Winnie statues and the book are at Downtown Disney, also known as Disney Springs now, at Planet Hollywood. I have a picture somewhere.
How did I miss that? I've been there. Actually, 7 years ago to this day, I was actually there. Okay. Mind you.
Pretty I know Brielle was a baby, so you were probably there when it was there.
It's no longer there?
No, I think it's still there.
How did I miss it though? What the hell?
Well, did you go into Planet Hollywood?
Yeah, I ate there.
But you have to know where, because I don't even think we ate there. We literally went in to go see the book.
Okay. Interesting.
So
they have John McClane's outfit somewhere there or some shit. So yeah.
Yeah, they have a bunch of random stuff. But if you want to go in there and look around, so if you're ever at Downtown Disney, they will let you look around even if you're not. I don't know if maybe COVID protocol is different.
It's probably changed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do remember going in there and asking just to see the book, and me and my daughters and my niece went in there and checked it out. It's cool. It's honestly in a case like in the movie because it's got to be protected. Let's see. So Mary is the younger sister, and she often, you see her looking up to Winnie and worshiping her. So that was a lot of her ad-libbing because she's super into Bette Midler. She was a super fan of Bette Midler, snuck in to go meet her backstage before they did this movie. So she was very excited to work with her.
Huh. What else you got? Right. Is that it?
No, I got more.
Well, what were your overall thoughts on this movie, and what were your favorite scenes? And yeah, what was your favorite? What did you love most about this movie? Because for me, I always loved they were pouring salt all throughout the house. For some reason, to me, that was always so silly, just pouring salt everywhere. But my actual favorite character is Billy, hands down. Billy is the best character, without a doubt.
I agree.
I love that man, and I love. There's just so much to love, and I always enjoy the virgin trope, which is so stupid. And they
you think Allison's a virgin?
No, hell no. She's fine.
She's no way. No thanks. I'm not gonna light that.
She's I'm not lighting that because I'm not a virgin. But Max, poor Max got jumped for his shoes. He moved from Los Angeles and gets jumped for his shoes. Nobody in the history of ever was out there stealing people's Jordan Air Maxes or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how things were up there. But yeah, Billy was awesome. And so he was actually supposed to call Winnie a bitch, but he thought that it was too harsh for a kid movie. So cough, cough, Monster Squad. Maybe you shouldn't have called that 4-year-old a bitch.
I started watching Monster Squad the other day, actually, but I fell asleep halfway through.
Well, keep going. Maybe
I started at 11 o'clock at night.
Your kids are too little. Then you're inevitable to fall asleep.
I'm old. Come on. That's way too past my bedtime.
You were 3 when this movie came out, but no, you were 2. But Billy changed it from bitch to wench, which I think is much, much better because watching that movie now, if he busted out bitch, I'd be like, whoa. So the dad, Charles Rocket, so he says to Max, watch your language at one point, but he is actually notoriously known for swearing on live TV at the end of Saturday Night Live back in 1981. So if that was intentional or unintentional, that's a funny little, nod, watch your language from the guy who, and I think he got fired for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Language. So did they let those kids just starve to death in those cages, you think?
I mean, probably. Why not?
And where's the picture of Max as Peter Pan from the next year? That's what I want to know.
Oh, we didn't get the cool picture. Well, maybe we're going to get in the sequel. You never know. Maybe.
Should I go into my witches brewing lesson?
Yeah. So hit us with a quick lesson and then we'll wrap it up here very shortly.
I got a quick witches be brewing lesson and then human skin books. And then I will be done.
Naughty.
So witches, there is an urban legend. This very well could be true. It totally makes sense, but it is considered an urban legend that witches were actually just brewers. So if you think about it, they have a kettle that they brew in. So they're brewing in the cauldron. They would actually brew the beer in the cauldron. They would keep cats around to keep mice out of the grain, which you needed to brew. And when the beer was ready, they would put a broomstick outside of where they brewed to let people know that the beer was ready. Mm-hmm. And then the hats, they would wear the hats at like markets. And that's how people would find the person who was selling the beer. And son of a bitch, there was one other thing. I can't remember. Anyways, the reason though that they say that witches were then being accused of witchcraft was because the white man then saw that brewing beer was profitable and needed to put these women out of business because a lot of time,
if women just stayed in the kitchen where they belong,
brewing beer, because that's where you
stay in the kitchen. And it all comes full circle because now you have men being like, women don't belong brewing beer. Sir, you might have known that the witch trials actually kicked off by women brewing beer. So, take your stupid beard and your stupid flannel and get out of here. Just leave.
Well, a lot of these women were single too, so it's how they earned their living. So they were easy to attack. And I'm actually, one of the things I am reading right now is a book about, it's a history of alewives and women in beer. And he's dancing to single ladies now, which I fucking hate that song. Do not put a ring on it if you like it. Put a ring on it if you love it and you're committed to it and you want to spend the rest of your life with it. Don't marry someone you like. And I will leave it at that. I hate that song. Okay. So yes. So witches be brewing. So that is the theory. And I love the theory. I think it's awesome. Okay. So human skin books. So the book is covered in human skin. There's also a book in Supernatural that's covered in human skin. And
we found a way to incorporate Supernatural. We did it, folks.
Damn right. Oh, we didn't have a Tim cameo yet. Here's your Tim cameo. So yes. So someone actually wrote, because of that, because in Supernatural, it's associated with a witch as well. So I wanted to find if there was some correlation between books bound with human skin and witches. Guess what? There's not. It's just a fun little trope to put in movies, apparently. So someone did write a book about it. Megan Rosenblum wrote Dark Archives, a librarian's investigation into the science and history of books bound in human skin. So she did a lot of her own research, including investigating some books that were claimed to be human skin. Of the 50 she found, 18 were confirmed to actually be human skin. There's also museums that have some books that are. However, they are not speller witchcraft books, probably because witches were just female brewers or just brewers. You don't even have to call them female brewers. They're just brewers. Binding books in human skin is known as anthropodermic bibliophagy.
Oh, that's a statement.
It is believed to date back to the French Revolution, but the process became popular in the 19th century. In most cases, the skin was taken from unclaimed bodies, which could be like war, mental institution, prison, poor people, or people of color. This was in an age before consent was obviously established in medical practice. It was fashionable and commonplace for collectors to have books rebound, especially in the 19th century. So the author says that back then it was more of a personal taste kind of thing instead of a historical artifact. If you were a doctor and a book collector and had a rare old book and had access to human skin, because who doesn't, then you would use that binding to make the book extra special. That was the doctor
Hannibal Lecter kind of stuff, is it?
Yeah, it was the doctor bibliophile connection. So according to the author, these binders were not mad scientists. They were mostly well-respected physicians who wanted to enhance the value of their libraries. Keep in mind, well-respected, doctors back then didn't believe in washing hands, and many women died giving birth because doctors stuck their dirty hands up inside of them. Just keep that in mind.
What the hell? Oh.
So these books were mostly medical books, but not all of them. Poetry books have been found to be bound in human skin. And here's a quote. George Walton, a career criminal who died in a Boston prison in 1837, personally requested that his memoir be covered in his own flesh. After his death, a copy was given to his doctor and another one to one of his victims.
That's a wild ride. That is wild.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Hocus Pocus. Well, it does. Skin books. Weird. Oh,
I wanted to know where. I love finding where things come from. Like when you hear like, oh, it's raining cats and dogs. And then you read, back in the day. That actually comes from Vegas. But it's because people had crappy roofs and animals would literally fall through because they didn't have real roofs.
So men fell through the roofs?
In Vegas.
Oh, okay. No,
and only when it was raining, like,
that's
vodka.
crazy.
I don't know.
That is crazy. I don't know. That's crazy. Crazy. I tell you.
It's Random Men just makes me think of Chandler's dad.
Oh, I don't like Friends. Not a good show.
What?
Yeah, we're talking about Hocus Pocus here. So
Friends is my first favorite show ever. You don't like Friends? Who doesn't like Friends?
Me, because I don't have any.
I've given you a few of my friends and you have some of your own.
That is true. But none of my friends live in Idaho. That's the craziest thing. So
okay. See, that's
the problem is like all my friends, speaking of friends. So is there anything that we have left for Hocus Pocus though, by the way, before I speak?
No, I think I covered it all.
We were kind of all over the place today. I apologize. I am so like bouncing back and forth all over. If there's anything that we missed that you guys wanted us to talk about, let us know. We'll mention it next week. And speaking of next week, my heterosexual life mate, Josh, who you might have remembered from Batman Forever commentary, is going to be joining us to do a commentary track on Halloween, the original.
That's called a friend.
78. That is a friend. My heterosexual life mate. They're more like a brother. But none of my friends actually live in this area. So I got to travel to visit them. It gets all crazy. And then you have kids in the family and stuff. And then it gets it's a little muddied. Yes, he's joining us next week. We're going to do a commentary track. Let us know what you love about the movie Halloween, what you want us to point out about the film. And hey, thanks for coming on this wild ride with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. If there's anything that we can do to make the show better, by all means, please let me know. Go to Twitter. Let me know. I'm the one that runs the Twitter. Yell at me. I don't care. That's fine. I've been yelled at many times. I was adopted, so you're not really going to bother me.
You're getting yelled at.
I don't know.
I run the Instagram. Don't yell at me. I'll be sad.
Go to Instagram. Let Lauren know politely. You can go to Twitter and yell at me because Twitter is an awful place to be. And with that said, once again, I am Mash with Lauren, the Hoppy Mommy. And thank you guys for joining us on this adventure. We will see you next week, brother and sister and fine citizen of the world.
I am still drinking this beer. I didn't pour it out.
Oh, good. I'm proud of you. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Cheers. I finished my beer, but here's the empty can.
Thank you, Max.
Cheers.
For that marvelous introduction. I put a spell on you. And now you're mine. You can't stop the things I do. I ain't lying. No! Been 300 years, right down to the day. Now the witch is back. And there's hell to pay. I put a spell on you.
Good joke. Happy Halloween. Thanks a lot. No, man, I'm serious. Yeah. You got to have your fun. Kidding to have fun. All right. Yeah, cheer up. Let's go, guys.
Hello, sailors. My name's Wilfred. What's yours? I put a spell on you. And now you're gone. My planet fell on you. And it was strong. So strong. Your wretched life have all been cursed because of all the witches working. And the worst I put a spell on you. And now you're mine. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? If you don't believe, you better get superstitious.
Hey, Max, great show. Cover your ears.
I put a spell on you.
What?
I put a spell.
Oh, I wish we had the camera.